Well, Mick, today our subject is about healing, how we see healing, and I was wondering, what's your take on healing?
For me, can be looked at many different ways, and it's a big subject. But at its core, healing is life. So for me, there is an energy which is constantly coming through us from the moment we're born. There is, you could call it the life force, or you could just call it life. And that's animating us, it's animating our cells, it's making our cells divide and multiply and doing all of those things. And it propels us through life. It propels us to learn, it propels us to make something of our lives. And what happens as what happens as we go through life is that we develop patterns of thinking, or we develop patterns of beliefs. We develop meaning out of things that have happened to us. We develop meaning out of the way we react to things. We develop meaning out of, am I good enough? Am I worthy? Do I deserve this or that? And all of those habits, if you like, of thinking affect how this life force comes through us. It affects whether there is a free flow. And for me, when I started being, you could call it, afflicted by health circumstances, or challenged by my particular health challenge, what it did for me was it brought to a head a lot of the beliefs and patterns of thinking that were already there. So the feeling a victim to certain life circumstances and so on. I felt like a victim of my body at that moment. Or for several years, I felt the victim of my body, that my body was restricting me in certain ways. And what the understanding of the three principles brought to me was that I was creating my experience. So my experience is not linked to the circumstance. It's not linked to what my body is doing. And for me, that there's something very, very powerful about seeing that healing is happening all the time, that life is happening all the time. We might not always we might not always like the results that life is doing. But when we see something new, when we see something fresh, it gives us a completely different relationship to it. So, for instance, that in my particular case, there was a morning when I woke up. This was before I came to the understanding of the three principles, but I woke up feeling the area where I have a nerve damage. I woke up feeling that, and someone was talking about it as a lesion, So there was a lesion on the spinal cord, and suddenly there was a change of word came into my head of my liege. And just that, I don't know where that came from, but talking about my lesion as my liege just came into my head, completely out of the blue. And suddenly having respect, you know the word my liege as in my lord, or my, it's a very old English word which means.
I didn't know that. It's very fascinating.
It's just a word that came into my head, and because it holds a particular relationship, I changed my relationship to that part of my neck. I changed the relationship to it, and
it feels different.
It felt different, and it allowed the change of relationship, allowed for fresh energy to come through. It allowed for the life force to reassert itself in that moment.
Yeah, because the natural state is really that you are perfect as you are. And then we cover it up with our thinking that we are not.
Exactly.
So healing is always coming naturally through us, because the life force is doing all the healing. It's bringing always back the natural default if we let it.
Exactly. And the only way I can cover it up is with my judgment about whether the life force is doing a good job, which is
exactly,
absurd. It's
like the simple case, we just cut ourselves, here somewhere, and instantly it starts healing. If we don't interfere, I mean, we can pick it and we can, do all sorts of things with it to stop the healing, and to, also believe that it will never heal. This will never heal. We can probably just create something there, which normally, naturally, would just heal by itself.
And I think it's fascinating at the moment. There is so much research going on that what we think or our beliefs are affecting the cells. There's a direct connection to whether our cells repair quickly, whether they repair slowly, whether they never repair. And our thinking is intimately linked. It's a direct connection. It's a direct connection to how it manifests in our body.
Yeah. Well, wonderful. Thank you, Mick. That was lovely.
So that was very short, but I hope there is some element in there that comes through, that we don't have to be in charge of it. We don't have to be in charge of our healing. And I think for many years I felt that I needed to do something in order to heal quicker, or in order to heal better. And I think more and more I see, and in the conversations we've had together, it's constantly helping me see that doing less is what allows the life force to come through again.
Yes, and just to clarify, we're not saying here that one shouldn't go to the doctors or shouldn't take their medication and not do anything, but it's about how you deal with it on your mind. I mean, these days I even take tablets, because I just know that I just need to calm down. I just need to allow to get back to that flow of natural healing coming through me. But in the meantime, I allow the doctors to do what they do, and I do the treatment they recommend, and I'm just listening to my own inner wisdom as much as I can through it. And I stop interfering myself. And that's what we mean by not doing anything. And it's like, once I heard somebody say, oh, you just let the doctor do the thinking for you, right? You just allow life to come through you, because the doctors, the medications, the treatments are also part of life, and they can be helpful. And it's just our mental attitude towards healing is that needs to stay open and allow this flow to come in, because we are continuously growing. We are growing into new realms of that we've never thought possible, and this is why we run into limitations that we've created ourselves, but there's always more to see. So how can people get hold of you if they wanted to have a chat with you, Mick?
My email address is mick@coach24.co.uk, or my website is coach24.co.uk.
Okay, perfect. Well, if people want to get hold of me, my website is www.katjasymons.com, and it's spelled KatjaSymons.com. All right, well, thanks, Mick. Another great chat. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Likewise.